Like, so like all of a sudden I was buying all this stuff, and those aren't cheap. Those are expensive. So now I was spending money on that. So like I feel like spending money became like a thing. These hats, Rab and I've been buying. I'm gonna be buying another one. I have like 16 of these things. So like I get
Yeah,
hyper fixated on spending.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For me, it was like it was funny because, and I've talked about this over and over again about my addiction with drugs when I was younger, and and then that transitioned into being food because I had to drive a tractor trailer, so I couldn't do drugs like that, and plus my kids were getting older, and I didn't want them to go through the same shit that I went through, and then after the food addiction and all that was taken away because of the surgery. After the surgery, I got to tell you, man, um, smoking the green tree was great for me. Um, but I stopped that too because it's like, first of all, it's not legal where I am anymore because I moved. And second of all, it's like I just put myself through the surgery. Smoking can't be good for the lungs, right? We all know that.
Hmm.
So that I kicked that little habit here over the past couple of months cold turkey too. So I mean, it's real, man, taking on this pain and these things that you go through after having surgery and just how to, you know, develop a new train of thought almost. It's like getting to know this whole new person and you're that person and you feel just completely lost. Like you're just, and you don't know unless you know. I mean, there's 21 people in here, and I know damn well like if you've had the surgery, like you like, and you can't, no one's perfect. I can't speak for everyone. I get it, but it's like after the surgery, you start losing this weight, you start feeling a different way, you're eating a new way, you can't eat as much as you used to, you can't eat a hot meal at first. You really want that, but when you eat it, it makes you sick. It's all frustrating, and you just want to eat your sorrows away, and you can't do that anymore.
Hmm.
It just becomes difficult. It's like this never ending battle, and then you don't want to return where you came from. So it's like today I was talking about how I went into the gas station and I walked in there, man, first thing I set my eyes on was fried chicken. They had some fried chicken, they had fried pork chop sandwiches, man, they had the good old nachos over there and the fried french fries and all that, and I was like, I can eat some of this, I can have some of it, but if I do, it's going to make me sick. Do you know how many times I circled around this, venue of food at the freaking gas station, contemplating whether or not, I wanted to eat two damn chicken tenders opposed to a damn protein bar? I ended up walking out with the protein bar. But it's stuff like that. It's that mind thing, man. It's just crazy. And you just get fixated on, that type of stuff. And it's difficult, man. So.
Well, yeah, you take a thought, say for instance, you have a taste for something, right? And you can't actually eat it, and you're thinking about other ways you can find a way to absorb or eat it. Like I know for people with the greenery, right? They would take that because now the receptors of cravings of food, it makes them want to eat more. So now it's like, cool, I can bypass this whole, my stomach is in there, even though I'm probably gonna throw up. Like that's some people's logic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's yeah. I think that a lot of our habits, if we're not working on them right away, and I think that a lot of people don't realize this because, again, I think that after the surgery, you're forced into making, you know, habit changes, but you haven't developed them yet. So you're developing them on the fly. So
Mm-hmm.
as you get further along, you're noticing that your restriction is easing up, and you're like, oh, I can eat a little bit more. And if those habits weren't developed before surgery, or you weren't working on them before, I feel like you kind of like, oh, I'm doing so good, and I can have a little bit more here. Like you're taking on those little extra calories that we all hear, and like we all hear the doctors talk about, or your nutritionist talks about, like all those little extra added calories that like, oh, I can have an extra chicken nugget, or oh, you know what, an extra protein shake. Like it's all those little things. Oh, you know what, instead of you know 28 almonds, I'm gonna have 48 almonds. All those little extra things that you just keep tacking on, and you don't realize that you could be it's detrimental in certain ways, because if you're not and it also depends on like what you're doing. If you're not exercising and you're not burning off those extra calories, or you're like, yeah, I'm eating my protein, but it's all like brisket and and fatty meats. You're taking in extra fat. So it's
Mm-hmm.
all in what you choose and your perception of like how you should be doing things. So
Am I being greedy again?
And a lot of people, what do you? I just can't imagine what people. And I have friends who go through this stuff on this platform where they've lost a lot of weight, and then over time, and we've talked about this, Ryan. Over time, they gain the weight back. You have a lot more weight gain. You put on like 20, 30 pounds. And from what I hear, I haven't experienced it yet, is that you can expect to gain some weight back. I feel like I just can't imagine what people go through, and I hope I never do, that go through that had this surgery and gain a lot of weight back, and then
hmm
that struggle to fight back. Like I have really close friends that I talk to almost daily in DMs who constantly just, beat themselves up and
Mm-hmm.
fight with themselves and hate themselves that much more because of the stress that they're going through about, I lost the weight, I had it off, and now I gained it all back, and I can't get it back off because that addiction does not leave. Obesity is a disease. And it's like, you know, from a therapist perspective, like how do you take on, a client that would come to you with this type of stress?
I'll look at what the result of what they want from the journey. Like, for instance, I'll first look at to see if there's a pattern. You have to see and establish if there's a pattern of anything, like for instance, recurring stress from the outside world that they use food or something else to fulfill the void. Um, the struggle with the identity of the person who has lost the weight but still sees the bigger person, like the body dysmorphia of that. That can
Mm-hmm.
be a definite struggle. And then the last one would be looking at what do they do with pain for themselves? Because there's a concept of where I was eating to get full capacity because I enjoy the comfort of that pain, or I enjoyed the comfort of the pain of when I worked out. So I continue to do that. Like,
hmm
so if, say, for instance, a person stops working out, they'll go to a past comfort because that's all they think they know, right? It's just that keeping this idea that in this journey, you're going to engage in different things that you have to reflect on, but also you're going to have to figure out who are you at the end of the day with this? Like, what do you want to get from this for you? And if you think about all the other distractions of whether it be time, people around you, other people's opinions of you, what do you think of you at the end of the day with this? Because you're the other people are going to die one day, right? So do you want to live on the ghost of the shadows of other people's opinions? You don't. If you do, you'll never find you within this process.
What about the ghosts of your own opinion?
Well, the ghosts of your own opinions only live because they were belief based on behavior patterns you notice about yourself. So you know you well enough to know that if you were to go eat pizza 3 days in a row, you might lead to a relapse of going ahead and living the lifestyle of being too comfortable eating pizza versus, hey, I had pizza today. I might have a craving for pizza again another day, but I have to realize I don't necessarily need that right now. I want it.
That's a
Mm.
You
struggle,
know.
especially when you deal with outside stressors. So,
Well, this is the thing.
what advice would you
I
give to people who deal with the bit? Like again, in the beginning of our journey, I feel like it's easier for us not to listen because we don't have the food noise. But later, as we get further into our journey and we start to have those everyday stressors and variables that we run into, and everyday life starts to put its weight back down on your shoulders, how do you navigate that? How do you tell yourself, like, do I really need that? And how do you tell yourself, like, no, I don't really need it, but I'm going to eat it anyways?
No, it's not necessarily just even the needing it. You want to. You can have a want and be okay. But my thing is this: when the want changes into a need, that becomes the problem in this process.
Hmm.
Is like, so how many times can you make an acceptable want before it becomes a need to you? Like, think about it that way. Well, like, okay, I realize that from my mindset, whenever I have an argument with a person, right, I crave this. If my thought process goes straight to that, my body's saying it's a need, not a want anymore.
Yeah,
It's not saying like, okay, well, I'm upset with this conversation I had, but I'm not going to justify it with going to get pizza again, right? It's more so of like, okay, I've gotten upset with this conversation. How I have to process what I'm going to do with this feeling, because if I repeat what that feeling is, my brain and my body is going to say, okay, instantly we're just going to repeat what we've done before. All right. And then the idea is like, don't make the idea like if you see it as a pattern, don't double down on the problem and compound the interest of feeling bad about it and then say, I'll never, I'll never get past this. I'll never. No, you realize it in that moment, cut it off, and then take the chance of doing something different.
yeah.
Like you have to do the reconditioning of your thought process.
It's so easier said than done.
Well,
And
yeah,
I,
it
it
is. But
is easy.
so I'll take for instance this. Do you ever notice you're lying to yourself?
Oh yeah.
I never
Okay,
lie to myself.
yeah, right. So let's take for instance this idea of you're lying to yourself. If you
Yeah.
know that you're lying to yourself, right? Why are you doing it to begin with? Because is it easier to be comfortable with the lie versus being raw and authentic with yourself?
Mm.
Because if you're not going to be raw and authentic with you, who do you expect to do that? Why do I need to hide between another person's opinion to rationalize how I feel about what I think about is wrong? If I have a core belief system to believe in it, right? Like I can get a person's opinion about it to give me different perspective, but if I know from a healthy, let's say if you had a healthy balance between understanding of morals and values and principles and beliefs, if you have that healthy core structure, why would you even feed that? Why would you feed a negative thought or a negative pattern because someone else said do it? It's because,
It's
and this goes
familiar.
back to, it's familiar, but it goes back to this concept by Colbert. Uh, he made this theory called pre-conventional, post-conventional, and conventional morality. But in the two stages that are very specific, is stage two is we do things uh, for our own self-interest, and then stage two, we're doing those things for our own self-interest solely based on observing other people's behaviors of how they've lied to us, or we've gotten in trouble for things in which we didn't do, and realize I'm sick and tired of being honest. And that happens at a very young age. So
Yeah.
then we create these narratives to rationalize and justify our own stuff. So then when it comes to the public's opinion, I'll get their approval because people like who I am, and I'll use their validation to justify why my narrative still exists.
Right.
I'll use an outside perspective to do that. So yeah.
So it's halftime, Tony.
It is halftime. So I just finished my drink. So, but there is a halftime water check for everyone who still has something to drink.
Prime?
I really thought you were holding up a bottle of Pepto Bismol.
No, no.
I saw
This
the
is
pink and I'm like, you're drinking Pepto?
strawberry banana prime. That coconut water slash heaven is
I
what
like
this is.
I like pineapple coconut water. That blend is wonderful.
Yeah. Um, Remember, everybody, every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get up with Talk Berry to Me with our sister chat, BSG Bestie, Talk Berry to Me, every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, every other Monday, you can hook up with Berry Unfiltered with the beautiful Anna Leonora. I hope I said that right, Lord Leonore. Whatever. We'll get it right in the future.
Oh boy.
Anna and Kate. Anna and
Sorry,
Kate.
Anna.
Every other Monday. You did not. All right. Every other Monday. They were on yesterday, so they won't be on next week, but the following week they should be live. Every Wednesday or every other Wednesday with the Berry Sisters at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, and that would be 8:30 Eastern Standard Time for those of you who don't know how to count backwards. I
Thank
don't.
you,
The
because
only
I won't.
reason why, yeah, I'm one of those people as well. Also, yeah, if you want to link up with Fadeaway Ryan, the link is in the bio. You know, he's down to give some conversation. He's open for new clients if you're interested. And I don't know
Ac-
about y'all, but how awesome would it be to have a therapist who has had the same journey as you? We all have different journeys, but he had bariatric surgery and he is currently taking GLP-1s as well. Is there anything else you two want to add before we move on?
Actually, I'd like Ryan to actually fill in any of the details for what he has going on.
Yeah.
So I know you just gave all the details for, what his link tree is, but if you could give a little bit
Mm.
more detail to that.
So for me, I have shop talk on Mondays every month where I have the bariatric men in the community. We have a Zoom session together, and we just speak up and have a voice where we feel heard. I think that's a concept that a lot of times we hide and we're shameful about the things that we're doing in our journey so far, and also the progress that we feel, and even the loose skin or the negative concepts that come from it. You know,
Yeah.
so I believe that's definitely a good component to work on, and then also just coming with you guys every Tuesday. I appreciate you guys allowing me to be on here and share
Oh,
my support.
It
yeah.
speaks volumes that you would come on here with us every Tuesday, and we're super appreciative of you giving us that time.
Yeah.
Not only with BME, but those of us in the community who need it, and we truly appreciate you, Ryan. Um, for real, we really do.
Yes.
Um, Ryan, one thing that sticks out to me, and I've asked you this before, and I'd like you to share this with those of us in the chat and on the panel. Once again, 835 pounds, and you're a therapist.
Hmm.
How in the hell did you do it? Like, how did you do it? Like, I'm not talking about the losing weight. I know you put in work. I know you've lost an excessive amount of weight. Mentally, how the hell did you do it?
I'm gonna say it was easy. It's still hard today.
Mm,
Uh, how I do it is I make sure that I have to be really honest with myself and challenging the fact of, do I like what I'm doing? Do I believe in what I'm doing? Is what I'm doing going to be intentional? Right? My intentional efforts really make me believe in my action. So, like for instance, in the beginning of the journey, uh, I was starting off with just walking my mile every day, and after a while, I stopped trying to think about like, oh well, the weather is too cold, so I don't want to go outside. I just did it. And I started to see that if I stop thinking about the action of what I'm going to do and just say that I'm going to do it, I believe in my word and my confidence is starting to grow. So I was doing things with intent to have a confident action behind it. And that's just snowballed into everything I do. It's like, okay, I have an intent to go now because I've lost this weight to travel more. And I traveled more because I was like, okay, I can take my journey of my walk and then share it with the world around me. That's what I do. I went to New York, I went to Dallas, I went to different places to improve my vision of what I saw for myself versus being stuck in that box. I stopped trying to live within the comforts of what I knew, which were lies. I lied to myself a lot. And
mm,
I didn't want to believe in lies anymore because I realized how much lies hurt my family and they hurt me. So why would I want to still stick to a thought process that is going to hinder my growth?
Do you do you think back to the very beginning and like you think about where you are now? And like, do you think about where your mindset was and like what you were thinking? Like, were there doubts? Were there fears? Um,
Oh yeah,
just
in the
questions.
very yeah, on the very beginning, yeah, there was a lot of doubt, and the doubt was based on me hearing my breathing, me, you know, having to go to the hospital constantly. Like I believed this narrative that I was going to die by 30, right? And I was getting closer and closer to 30 before I had surgery, right? I was like going to the hospital every 3 months, whether it be a pulmonary embolism, whether it be low potassium. I was doing things and finding myself like, I'm gonna die. And I accepted it. I mentally accepted it. Right. And I realized like I was accepting something without showing action or proof. Right. The proof was the non-action I did. And I was like, okay, I have to be intentional with my actions. So then the concept being is like, it's hard to be intentional with actions when you bullshit yourself a lot.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, how can I avoid this BSing myself? Okay, cool. Tell myself I'm going to do this, do the thing. Ask myself, how did it feel what I did? Did I feel good? Cool. Did I realize I completed it? Yes. So when I started feeling like I was completing something and feeling accomplished behind what I did, I realized that built a momentum to say, okay, cool, I can keep doing this. And then as it slowly unveiled into this bigger picture, I was like, when I put my mind to saying I'm going to do something, I have a better stance on believing it versus the idea I need to see it happen. Like for instance, a lot of like for me, I did not need to see me losing weight to know that my actions are showing proof that I am.
Hmm.
Right? It's like when you're 835 pounds, you don't think you're gonna ever be skinny. Like in my head, I was like, I'm never gonna be skinny. I was like, dang, I'll settle for doing 150. Right? But I consistently showed up to the process. And you have to have a disciplined process to discover this self love or this curiosity to want to live. And as I showed up daily for this journey, like I was like, okay, cool. This is a bigger piece. This is an idea of understanding me and how I involve myself with the world around me. Because every interaction I had meant something now.
Yeah. So, what would not what Ryan the therapist would say, but what would Ryan, the bariatric patient, say to someone coming into the community now or thinking about coming, like going through the process?
Be open minded. Don't don't think you know the answers. Be really open minded with what people have to say to you. Uh, Hear people out if they've been on the journey before you, and like see what they did and take some tips and advice and see if it works well with you. Like that's kind of how I look at life. Like I'm not going to wholeheartedly take on a position of someone's view just because I think they're popular about something. I take it on based on if I feel good about it.
Yeah.
So like do what makes you feel good, I will say. Like,
Yeah, something stuck out to me that you just said, Ryan, a couple moments ago, that really hit me. And I've had this conversation again before, plenty of times. And I didn't even really realize it. And we've had conversation about, loving yourself. I don't love myself, and I hate myself because of what I've gone through in the past, so on and so forth. That whole spew. And you helped me behind the scenes identify that I do actually love myself. I made the necessary steps that I had to make, that put me in a position to want to better my life. But what you said was knowing you want to live. Um, and I think it's safe to say that anyone who has had the surgery and has gone through it can say with confidence that they know they want to live. Um, and I just never, for me, speaking for myself, I never think of it that way. Like, I know I want to live as long as I can. I want to be in my kids' lives. I want to see my grandkids get older. I want to go out fighting. Like, I want to stay as alive as long as I can, and get the best out of my life. But sometimes I just don't feel like I have it in me, or that I deserve it, or that can happen for me. But when you say things like, knowing you want to live, I can honestly say that it makes me feel a lot better to know, to like stop, think, and listen to myself think, and know that I do actually want to live, and how much that means to me. So I appreciate you saying that, because I never really thought about it. Like, we just go on through this life, like,
we just exist, right?
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, that's what it feels like. It's just like we're just existing, and we're
But
just
the other thing
going through it.
we put blinders to things that we face challenges every day.
Hmm.
We we are challenged whether it's at our job, whether it's at home, whether it's just life itself. Like things are challenging and we find things difficult, but we find ways to push through these things. But when it comes to our weight, when we're challenged with those challenges, it becomes difficult, especially the further along we get. And, I think that a lot of us that, we make excuses not to find movement in throughout our day. And we don't realize that, like, all of the little challenges that we had before we had surgery and as we moved through that first year, all those little NSVs. And eventually you get to a point where none of those are NSVs anymore because they're everyday habits, or they're just everyday things that you're able to do now. So what's the next step? And I think we forget that we don't challenge ourselves even more. All right, well, you know what? I can walk a mile. Well, try to run the mile, or
Right.
maybe walk 2 miles. Like, challenge yourself. And I think that we lose focus on the fact that, like, well, I could already do this. Like, well, what else is there for me to accomplish? And you don't realize that you can challenge yourself to do things. And that's why I think a lot of the stuff that, Rab and I have been doing as far as like the challenges going on throughout the community to hold ourselves accountable for doing stuff. we're doing things that we didn't think we were able to do. And if we couldn't do it in the beginning, we've been able to do it after that, that month's period.
Hmm. So I would say like that goes to my like thought process of stay curious about life. Like in this journey, right, you'll do a lot of self-discovery, but you have to be open-minded, be curious of what can I do more, what can I do better, how can I live fulfilled? Even to a point where you guys took what you have here, right, and you went from your personal journey and said, okay, I've self-actualized what I've done, meaning like I found meaning, purpose, and value in what I'm doing, and this has been a bigger dream or goal of mine. And what you're doing is you're transcending it. You're allowing the world around you to be attached to it because it's meaningful. And look at what the community you brought. You have 33 people here. You have over 23,000 likes. You know, there's power to the idea where two people or people in general, when you're building your home and you have people look at your home and be like, man, this is a beautiful home. They see the how much time and how much energy you put into valuing you. So they see value in why they want to follow and see where your house is building. What is going to happen next? And they want to be a part of welcome themselves in that home. Right? So I felt welcome in the home that you produced for me.
Yeah. Wow, 23,000 likes. Thanks you so much in the chat. We really appreciate all your support as usual. If anyone has any questions, we got about 11 minutes left for Ryan. Don't hesitate to ask. We're up for answering questions and extending the conversation even further, but we'd like to try to start getting you guys involved as much as we possibly can. We appreciate all the love as usual. We can't thank you all enough. And yeah, this is awesome. What's up, Brian? Welcome, man. Welcome to the live.
Drew, that's right. You want to live and you want to experience the things that you've missed out on. And again, it's never too late to experience the things that you feel like you've missed out on.
Hmm.
There's time. Whether it doesn't matter how. I'm never going to say that your time is limited here on Earth, but again, make the most of the time you do have on here.
Hmm.
Experience the things that you've always wanted to experience. Don't hold yourself back, and don't let fear um, rule you, because that's what got us into the situation to begin with. Is fear
And
has to let us.
fears and fears a lot of narratives that we didn't create, but we follow.
Hmm.
Right? We follow a fear solely based on what we think someone said or believed. But there's no facts. And we hold an emotional attachment to a thought or what the opinions of others will make us feel like. So it keeps us boxed in. It keeps us caged. And what does an animal do when it's caged and it's comfortable? It just eats and sleeps.
Yeah.
Facts. You're feeding me, I can sleep, cool. And that's what I looked at it with my life. I was caged in a box and I was allowing food to be the comfort because everything was a call away or an arm's reach.
You didn't have to walk too far,
Hmm.
or you could just roll in your little
Yeah.
I would
Man,
share my almonds with you, but
any questions
you're
for
5,000.
Ryan? For me and Tony? Throw them in the comments. 24,000. Are we going to make 25,000 likes or what? That's
I'm gonna
that's
Looks
what
say
like
I
it.
that
want.
I'm gonna say with the people we have in there, yes, we are gonna get, because
Jason, welcome, brother.
that's what this community is. We band together
Thanks
and
very
show
much,
love.
buddy. Hey, Danny, I didn't get a chance to respond to you in the comments, man, but much love to you, man. All the support you give, man, it's not unseen. No, it's all good, Jason. We know you have things you got to
That's,
take care of, bro.
what's it's all good, Jason. I appreciate you coming in. Chris, what you say? Can you
I'm
repeat it?
looking back. Can you touch your? Can you touch on
On
body
body dys
dysmorphia?
Okay, you
Yeah,
got it.
coping mechanism.
Yeah. So body dysmorphia, that's a tough one. Because look at it this way. You have a snapshot picture of the image of who you were. So every time you look in the mirror, it's there, right? And I think it's the idea of you have to feel your way through that thought. So if you're looking at yourself, but you feel better, like internally, does the image that is projected outside of you matter more than what you feel inside? Because that's where people get lost. Like we'll get hyper focused on the image outside of us. Now, granted, you can lose all this weight, but still have a shitty attitude or a shitty personality, right? Or like a real bad mental behavior thought process. Or you can lose this weight, learn to love yourself and like how you show up and liking your body, and realize, okay, I might not look the image that I imagine right in my head. Like, say for instance, if I want to look like The Rock, I'm not imagining me being The Rock, but I have the spirit or the personality or the strength inside as The Rock. So if I have that, I'm a warrior outside of what the imagery looks like. Like if you take any battle and you saw the little guy win, it's because the little guy thought he was stronger, feeling it, right? He felt that. Versus the idea of I'm too afraid of what challenges that I come into play and look like, okay, well, I can't do this.
So D put up a question. How do you differentiate body dysmorphia from body realization?
The body dysmorphia and body realization. Ah.
That's
So
actually really good.
body dysmorphia is more so the clinical term. But the realization is more so in visualization daily. Like you have to look at the diagnosis. Now, I don't have the DSM-5 right next to me looking at, okay, what is the diagnosis of this? But you have to have someone clinically diagnose you of that. Right? I think sometimes we get so big on using fill words of like, okay, I have body dysmorphia. Okay, do you not like images of your body, or you have something that makes you avoid looking at mirrors or like things of that nature? That becomes a bigger issue. Like, or like the word narcissist gets thrown around a lot, but do you know the real definition or diagnosis of it? Because they're two separate things.
Say it again for those in the back. Oh my goodness. I diagnose every person with narcissism. I can't help it. If you're crazy, you're narcissist. That's it. But I know
I've
there's
been,
more to
he's called me a narcissist on multiple occasions.
it. Oh man, thanks. Look at that. 25,000 likes, y'all. Thank you so much.
We are creeping up
Um
on 26,000 too.
Yeah, so I'm going to use this time as another reminder to make sure that you all tune in every Sunday night for our sister chat with Talk Barry to Me, VSG Bestie, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Sunday night. Also, the link for Ryan is in the bio, and just a reminder, Ryan will be joining us every Tuesday night. He is a new member of the BME, Barry Male Experience.
Wearing
Chris,
a
thank
shirt
you.
and tie.
Wearing a shirt
Yes.
and tie.
A shirt
We are
and
gonna
tie.
we are gonna get you a scallywag.
All
Yeah. That'll be the next thing.
6'9" of them, 8 of them, 9 of them, whatever. It's the same damn thing when you're
I
that
don't know.
tall.
He's still a foot taller than me.
Yeah. Oh man. But again, thanks y'all for joining us tonight. Um, Man, this is a great conversation, man. I'm so looking forward to having you on the team. But look, this is the thing though, and we've talked about this. This isn't gonna be like, Barry Mel Experience, the therapy session. You know, this is what the Barry Mel Experiences is about the experiences that we go through during this journey, man. And we want to share that with you all and learn from it.
And again, we
Um,
have another unique perspective from the mill
yeah,
journey.
That's
exactly.
the thing. I can give you guys both sides. It's not always the therapy concept that I want to give. I want to give you guys the personality of who I am outside of therapy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's just a career I have. I'm more than that. I'm more than my weight loss. I'm more than my career there. And that's the thing that I want people to realize. When you realize there's more shades of you than the things that are most prominent of what people see, then you realize you're living authentically of who you are versus I only show the best two shades because I'm afraid of showing the rest.
Exactly.
Dang. Yeah, so I think it's safe to end on that note. We'd like to give our apologies for not having Eric Johnson, the author of The Wait Is Over. We'll try to make that up and try to figure that situation out to have him on at another date. But hey, we gave him a promo. That's
Yes.
Eric
And we
right
did.
there.
And we'd like
There's
to thank
his
all of you for hanging out with us for this past hour. We really appreciate all the support. And it was great having all of you here. And it was great having Ryan up here with us for his very first full live as a member of the BME team.
Also, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube. If you miss any episodes and you want to help a brother out, head on over to YouTube and subscribe. We'd love to have you over there too. Thank you all so much. We love you back for all the support and the 26,000 likes and the love and the shares and the 35 of you for joining
You too,
us.
Purity.
Welcome, Ryan, to the team.
Thank
We
you.
love
Thank you.
y'all and
Thank you,
see y'all
Gail.
next week. Taco
Mamiana, thank you.
Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love you back. Peace.